Okay, Prince Warriors Volume 2, Chapter 22, Leaves and Leaving. Oh, goodness. Remember when we stopped earlier, Brianna had just found out her grandmother had an accident. I can only imagine how terrifying that must be when you're living with your grandparents. Anyway, Chapter 22, Leaves and Leaving. Brianna saw the flashing lights of the ambulance as soon as Mr. J.R. turned down her street. She felt as though she couldn't breathe at all, like all the air had been sucked out of the car. The ambulance was parked on the curb, along with the police car. A group of neighbors had come out of their homes to see what was going on. Mr. J.R. pulled up to the house as two men rolled a stretcher out of the front door and into the open back of the ambulance. Grandpa Tony followed, looking as pale and shocked as Brianna had ever seen him. Her three sisters stayed on the porch, shaken and scared. Brianna jumped out of the car as soon as it stopped and ran to the stretcher that held her grandmother. But it was already being loaded into the ambulance, so Brianna couldn't see Nana Lily at all. "Grandpa," she cried, running to her grandfather. "What happened? Why are they taking her away?" "She just collapsed. I don't know." He shook his head, holding back tears. "Brianna, wait!" Brianna didn't wait. She broke away from her grandfather and plowed past her sisters into the house. She ran up the stairs to her room, slamming the door behind her. She threw herself on her bed and began to sob. "Ruach must not love you very much if he let this happen to your grandmother." The voice was soft and insistent. Brianna opened her eyes to see Stella fluttering before her face, her delicate wings catching the light from the window. "You're right," she said. Nana Lily was the only one who loved me. There's no one who loves me now. I'm all alone." "That must make you very sad and angry." "Yes, I am angry." Brianna felt a heat building up inside her. Outside, a siren whined. She went to the window to see the ambulance pulling away. Brianna's sisters stood in the doorway with their arms around each other, sobbing. Grandpa Tony must have gone in the ambulance too. Brianna shut the curtains. She went down to the kitchen. There was flour all over the floor. A plastic tub of sugar tipped over on the counter. Nana Lily must have been baking a cake when she fell. A birthday cake for Brianna. Brianna looked up at the framed needlepoint on the wall. "Fix your thoughts on what is true." She walked over, took the frame off the wall, and threw it in the wastebasket. She collapsed at the kitchen table, her head pressed to her folded arms, sobbing. "You're not alone, Brianna. I'm here." The voice echoed in Brianna's ear as Stella settled once more onto the back of her neck, her transparent wings disappearing against Brianna's skin. "I won't leave you like Ruach and the Source did, or like your parents did. I'll always be with you." "At least I have you," Brianna whispered. "I'll never go back to a Hortoss again." The large metal int fluttered outside the kitchen window, its red eyes pulsing a message. Stella blinked back a reply. "Almost there." "What's the matter?" said Levi. He'd stopped skating as soon as he saw his father coming out to the skate park. Mr. J.R. had a very stern look on his face, as if something had gone horribly wrong. Levi picked up his board and went to meet his father at the edge of the park. Xavier, seeing the two of them, followed along. Brianna's grandmother fell. They think she might have had a stroke. She's been taken to the hospital. I just came back from driving Brianna home." "Is she okay?" Levi asked. "Don't know yet. I think we should all go over there and see if we can help. I just came back to get you, Xavier. Xavier, if you and your brother want to come too, just let your parents know." Look, it was Manuel who spoke. He had been nearby picking up leaves, but now he was staring at the pile Rook had created, pointing. Levi, Xavier, and Mr. JR turned to look. The leaves on the top of the pile were spinning in a circle, as if they were caught in a strong breeze. But then they lifted off the pile, swirling themselves into something, a definite shape that rose steadily above the leaf pile. Evan and Rook, still by the leaf-sucking machine, saw it too, but no one else on the playground seemed to realize what was happening. "What's it doing?" asked Levi. "It looks like," Xavier began. "It's the crest." They turned to see who had spoken. Ivy stood behind them. She could see it too. "It can't be," Levi said. "It's just leaves." "I think she's right," said Xavier. Just then his phone buzzed in his pocket. He took it out and looked at it. The crest glowed on the screen. He showed it to the others. Levi and Manuel both checked their phones. The crest was on their screens as well. "We need to go," Xavier said. "But what about Bean?" said Levi. "We can't just leave her." "I'll keep an eye on her until you get back," said Mr. JR, turning to head back to the rec center. "You kids better get going. Rook must have an assignment for you." Xavier dropped his skateboard and began walking toward the leaf pile. Levi and Manuel followed. They joined Evan and Rook, who were standing by the leaf-sucking machine, still gazing in amazement at the swirling red and gold leaves, which had definitely formed into the crest of a Horatoss. "Hey guys, all done now," Rook said to the kids still playing in the leaf pile, oblivious to what was really going on. "I need to get this pile bagged up before it gets any windier." The kids groaned a bit, but moved away, finding other things to occupy themselves. The Prince Warriors gathered around the leaf pile, looking from one to the other. "What do we do?" Levi asked. "Jump in," Rook said. "In the leaves?" "Sure, why not?" "On 3, said Xavier. 1, 2... "Wait," Manuel cried. "I need to get out my inhaler. There's probably a lot of dust in that pile. 3. All 4 boys leaped as high as they could, jumping feet first into the pile. A storm of leaves rose up around them, as if sucking them down within its steps. They disappeared from view, and the leaves settled back down, an ordinary pile of leaves once more. Rook waited a moment just to make sure the kids were really gone. Then he aimed his leaf-sucking nozzle at the pile in order to gather up the leaves. He stopped when he saw the girl with the red hair walking toward the pile, her eyes fixed on the crest. Rook smiled. "What are you waiting for?" he said. "Really? I should go too?" "You see the crest, don't you?" She nodded. "Well, better get moving then." Ivy nodded and took a running leap into the pile, just as the floating crest disintegrated into red and gold leaves that fluttered lazily to the ground. Rook smiled to himself and turned on his machine again. He sucked up all the leaves into a giant bag, then closed it up and hauled it away.